Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, 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 heat check.
What's up, SML? Welcome back to SML Heat Check. We got another good episode coming at you today. We've got some, obviously our recap. We got predictions. We've got predictions to go over from last week, and then we'll unveil our first power rankings of the season. We are joined by our guest here, my fellow NFC North brother, Packers owner MikeFML. What's good, buddy?
Happy to be here with half of the Bushwhackers and the Newman to my Seinfeld. Let's see what happens today, boys.
Love to hear it. Also glad that you had to teach me what a Newman to your Seinfeld meant.
Yeah, that's a shout out to my boy Graham.
Yeah, so I was happy to learn that one. So you're off to a nice start here on the season, 2-1. You've clobbered a bit of your division opponents here. How do you feel about your start?
Start's good. It's obviously going to be a little bit of a, getting to the back to stabilization there because I did get a lot of points and a lot of good defensive stats from the two Lions and Bears games. But I played Graham, and that was 35-28, I believe. So we're going to kind of stabilize a little bit, but we're looking to maintain course for our 500 goal because that is who I am.
Well, hey, at least you've got your goal, but I don't know. I still think you can beat it. I got faith in you. Obviously you had the big offseason move as well. Aaron Rodgers trade. You took some heat for it. I personally didn't have any issues with it. I can totally understand sticking with Love, but what was your thought process behind those moves?
Well, I mean, obviously we all heard Prime going off on his little tangent about my deal, and that's fine. I've given Tiny a lot of heat about his very suspect deal. But getting a 3 and a 5 for Rodgers, especially with it being high picks, I think that's a pretty decent option because we're talking Madden, talking a 500-year-old quarterback who's only going down. I looked at it as a 1-year rental. I'm not trying to get a second or a first for a 1-year rental because I try to operate in good faith with everybody I trade with. But I think going with Jordan Love early, I think he's 23 years old, 81 overall in Star Dev. I don't think that's a problem for me. It's nothing where I misused Rodgers, I don't believe. So I was happy with my return. I think Prime's a little insane, but I think we all can kind of agree in that in some situations.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody's always the best GM of every other team. It's always easy to look at things in hindsight and see what you would do. But yeah, I don't think you did necessarily poorly, and I think Love's going to be just fine. He's definitely giving me some headaches. Trying to chase him around back there can be a pain. So, I don't think you did poorly there.
Yeah.
Bomber, you got anything for him?
Yeah, I would say especially with Rodgers being an 84 overall now, that's really expensive to pay for that. So if you're not going to use it,
it's like $40 million. It's insane on every level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. The regression can hit hard in this Madden. I know Brady's down to like somewhere in the 80s at this point.
Yeah, I think Prime signed him to be his backup.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, when I was talking to Alex, he totally understood that it was a 1 or 2 year thing, and then he'd have to move on from Rodgers. And I think the price was overall fair.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's worked out for him too as well. I believe he's off to a 2-1 start, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it is 2-1, or maybe 2-2 now.
Yeah.
I think he just played. The
Rodgers
Browns.
is good. He's gonna cover a lot of downside for a lot of guys just because he's a solid quarterback. But in my personal playing with them, there wasn't enough difference between Love and Rodgers. You guys know how it is. Sometimes quarterbacks, especially in Madden, it seems like some are coded better than others. And regardless of the rating, some just seem to play better. I know Love seems to play well, and then people like Baker Mayfield with Woods, he struggled with him. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny how that happens, but I've definitely seen it, definitely felt it for myself. Some of the quarterbacks, they just have great attributes. I actually always found it with Dak Prescott. I always struggled playing with him. His attributes are always solid, super high, and he just doesn't do it. So, hey, you found a guy you're comfortable with. It's worked out for you so far, and I'm looking forward to some good battles in the NFC North here. So, Bomber, you want to take us away with our recaps for the last 3?
So we'll go over our the first 3 weeks now, and bringing it up here on Daddy Leagues. Week 1, like we just talked about with Mike, 34-3 over the Bears. Bears have really fallen off since that last playoff run they made in season 1. Then we had the Jaguars beating the Bills 38-26. One of the bigger games, or at least I thought it would be a bigger game, was the Raiders taking on the Browns, and Future wins 42-35. That puts not that game, that was week 1, but he's 3-1 on the season. So after 11-5 year last year, 3-1 is off to a good start. So maybe he is back, like everybody was saying. We also had Dan. He played ZZ. I don't know what happened in this game, but Dan only won by 7, which is kind of a shock. And speaking of shocking results, we had Washington, the new guy, Q Pierce, comes out and he beats Grams 42-13. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his games, but this one made me think he was going to be one of the top guys. I think I even had him in my bold predictions last week. He kind of fell back to earth, but I can't really make out what to think of this guy. But he's got a big game tonight against the Colts.
Yeah, I definitely want to tune in to see that one. I haven't seen. I think I saw part of one of his games, and he looked like a solid player. But we'll see over the course of a full game here tonight.
I can provide some feedback there.
Okay.
As one of the leaders in Primer, I played him once last season, and he won. It was a pretty close game. Offensive guy more than defensive, and he seems to be a good passer, a little bit sketchy on the run game. So that's going to be something that people can look forward to moving forward.
Okay. Where would you put him if you were ranking the NFC? Would you have him in the top half of the NFC?
I'd have him pretty tied with just kind of going down a little bit in terms of his own division, just because that can kind of give a better idea on where he's rated there. I'd have him below Graham, but kind of right in that Rowan range.
Okay. So he's probably not challenging for a Simbardi right away.
No, not immediately. It's hard to come right in and win right away, as our boy Dookie found out last season. But he's not a bad player at all. I think he's gonna have a pretty good future as long as things keep going as they seem to be going. Probably not top end of the NFC or of the league in general, but he's definitely upper middle.
All right, so there goes my bold prediction.
I'm just happy to hear that he's not a super good runner. That's just music to my ears.
I mean, at the same time, he had Detroit in Primer, and they don't really have a great halfback.
True.
Swift's okay, but he was kind of he got a bad rub from Madden in terms of the ratings.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it could be something where he's going to be better in SML, but we'll see how that goes.
Now, I was told he had a 9-2 record with the Lions. Is that true?
Yeah, he was doing really well. It was a lot of the same kind of passing it to a rookie wide receiver he had. He was feeding him pretty consistently. So again, I think he's a better passer than a runner. That could just be from my small sample size, but I think he's going to be okay.
Okay. Well, moving on. Speaking of the Lions, the Vikings squeak by the Lions. This I think was a sim game, right?
Yeah, it was a force. He was having trouble getting on PlayStation Network, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think it was. I think he just recently got back on, and then somebody else here on Heat Check beat the dog shit out of him. But we'll get to that in week 3. So then we had one of the bigger games, Panthers and the 49ers. This one, nobody decided to play defense, and the 49ers win 45-42, which this will kind of hit on as we move through weeks 1 through 3. But what is going on in San Francisco with Dump's team? And they don't play defense at all. I don't know if he's trying to score as many points as he can and just gives up points on purpose, but I can't believe anybody with that 49er defense is giving up almost 40 points a game.
It's you have to play a specific style against Dump. If you're going for the ground and pound, the the West Coast offense where you're getting little chunks at a time, it actually doesn't really work. Go for the big play, you'll get it.
Yeah, clearly everybody seems to have figured that out except one team, which we'll get to that one later. Dookie came out and his first game was against the Steelers, so we complained that we hadn't seen Dookie play anybody good, and his week 1 is against KJ. Not exactly another test. And he shuts him out 45-0. Prime in week 1, though, he took on the Titans, and Coop kept it close. I want to say Prime walked away with a win on the last play of the game, 36-35. Coop, like I said, is one of those guys. You can play with anybody.
I felt bad for Coop watching that game because Prime went on a fullback dive at the goal line.
Yeah,
and as y'all know, it's the success rate in stopping that's pretty low. So
make run commit great again.
Literally, that's the
literally
thing.
just for the fullback dive.
It's a spot where you can't run commit via the rule book. So, you have to guess right, and there's so many gaps that you can choose. It's super hard.
Yeah. Yeah, especially down there on the goal line with the fall forward feature. You can't run commit. Everything is kind of stacked against the defense.
Yeah.
Especially on fullback dive.
Is what it is, though. Coop, he played well, and I'm sure he'll do all right this year.
Yeah, stop him at the 5. You don't have to worry about that fullback dive.
There you go.
It's the Foz defense.
Yep. All right, so now then we also had the Cardinals took on Tiny and the DK Metcalf-less Seahawks. Big surprise there. Tiny loses 40-27.
That game was close for like a quarter and a half.
It was right until the coin toss. And then we had the Dolphins taking on the Ravens. Paulie beat NYT 27-21. NYT's off to a slow start. He's 1-2 right now. That kind of wasn't expected. Eagles and Chris gets his first win to start the season 1-0, beats Rowan 37-31. Again, Rowan just can't stop anybody. One that I was more surprised about, the Jets start week 1 with a win, 24-17 over Matt. Matt's your guy, right, Mike? What's the story on Matt? I can't really figure him out either.
Matt's very much a system player. If he doesn't have his team how he likes it, he's going to struggle a little bit, which is what you're seeing right now. He plays defense and he runs the ball. He's like, shout out to the Truth and Polly, who call him a throwback old school coach, where he's going to run the rock down your face and play decent defense, and that's how he's going to win games. Patriots roster is thin. Let's be nice about it. It's thin. So he's kind of working with what he has right now. But I think a year or two in the future, you're going to see him kind of turn it around and see the real Matt.
Yeah, there's moments where you can see it coming out where he has drives and you're just like, wow, that was a really pretty drive. Like that was efficient. There was nothing anybody was going to do. He was going to score. And there's other drives where it just doesn't come together. So you're definitely waiting to see the full picture there.
Yeah, when you're, if you start the drive and you get stuffed for a 1-yard gain, you're 2nd and 9. Matt's not a great passer at that point in time. If he runs again, gets another yard, it's 3rd and 8, and he's not going to convert that at a 70% clip. So it's just going to lead to quick punts.
Right.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see a little bit more from him as the cycle progresses.
Not yet. Let's wait till next week for that.
Well, yeah. Okay. That's right. You play him this week. Then we have the Rams 35-21 over the Falcons. Lawyer continues his slide this cycle. The Saints start off with a win, but they only played the Bengals. I didn't really have the Bengals doing much this season. I think you had them.
Yeah, you can speak for yourself on that one.
Yeah.
I'm off to a tough start in my bold prediction here.
Yeah, they're sitting at 1-2 right now, but so is most of the AFC North, so you should be okay.
Winnable division, baby.
Yep.
You still got it.
Then we had the Texans in their only win so far this season, 27-0 over the Chargers. And that was about as good as it got this season for the Texans so far. Then week 2, we had the Bears. They took on the Vikings. This time you got to play, and it wasn't quite as close, 20-6. Still seems like Figs just plays you tough. I don't know why, but
he does play me tough. Yeah, he does play me tough. It usually comes down to turnovers for him. He usually puts himself behind the 8 ball with the turnover battle, but he definitely plays me tough on defense. He seems very good at recognizing tendencies and plays. I've noticed that after I played him the first 2 games, he started to pick up very quickly on a lot of my reads. So I had to change. I kind of have to change my offense every time I play him. So
yeah,
I
can back that up as a fellow NFC North guy.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, then we had the Browns lose to the Patriots, so there's Matt getting back on the right track. Gets a 28-10 win over the Browns. Meets and the Cardinals take on the Buccaneers in what was probably the game of the week, and Meets ends up losing this one 20-28. I wasn't able to catch this game. Did either of you guys see how that went down?
I did not.
I did. It was a very good game. It kind of came down to everything that I guess we spoke on, or at least I know I did in Heat Check. It just seemed like Meats couldn't quite figure out Dookie right off the bat, and Dookie was able to take advantage. He hit a couple big plays, forced, I believe it was 2 fumbles. I know he basically won the game on a fumble. Meats threw the ball into the flats. and his guy got held up. And
Oh,
just
that's right.
absolutely
Widmer.
run over by a truck. And that's pretty much how he lost it, was on that play there. So
It does seem like there's been a lot of fumbles, especially fumbles that have cost games just so far this early in the season.
Yeah,
next,
I think that was Madden's only thought to trying to slow down the run game, was they figured, oh, we'll just make people fumble.
Yeah.
But the running backs don't fumble; it's the wide receivers who do. So
Yep.
didn't really work quite that well.
Next
You can
game,
time those hit sticks. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Next game was the Jaguars beat the Eagles 42-10. Panthers and Royce just sneaks by the Falcons 21-17. Both of those teams are sitting at 1-2 right now. Jets get a win over the Lions. Again, I think that was another forced win for the Jets, but that put them at 2-0 to start the season, and it's been a little bit downward trend since then. But Grams took on Mike 35-28. That was your lone loss. It was a pretty good game, though. I mean, you kept it close.
And that was a throwback game to kind of my my normal bad games where I threw too many interceptions and just made too many mistakes. Graham had his share too, but it's one of those that I kind of feel bad about because I think it could have gone a lot better.
Well, you have New England this week, so hopefully it does. Then the Ravens got blown out by Dan 35-7. Again, that put him at 0-2. So the AFC North starting off really bad this season. Coop comes out, and then a week after the Washington blew out Grams, Coop comes out and blows out Washington 34-14. And then just when you think it's going good for Coop, he just falls apart, which seems to be his story. 49ers come out, and this was probably their best defensive game. A 28-21 win over the Saints. Saints keeping my bold prediction alive of them getting 10 losses. They're already 20% of the way there, so keep it up, Colt.
He said keep it up.
We got the Bengals 21-6 over KJ. KJ
There
at
it
that
is,
point,
baby.
6 points in 2 games. Not the greatest start for the Steelers.
No, not looking good.
Chargers come out. He puts up 31 on ZZ and ends up winning 31-13. So right now it's probably between KJ and ZZ for worst in the league, I would think. There's a couple other contenders, but those two have been pretty consistent.
I think KJ has that crown currently, but I'd like to offer up our division friend Hova his name into that hat.
You do have Hova. I only leave him out of it because he had 3 simmed games, so
Yeah.
I'll put him in the running next week. But
What's funny about the Steelers and Chiefs is that out of the box, that's probably the best defense in the game and then the best offense in the game, and both teams are sitting at 0-3 in season 3 here.
I don't really understand. And I just played the Chargers. Chargers guy's not bad, but he's not 31-13 beating you bad or beating you good. Like, you should be able to put up something on him. His defense wasn't that great. And I think he had 6 sacks that game. So
Oof.
ZZ's got Mahomes. He needs to get rid of the ball or get out of there a little faster.
With escape artist, that's tough to do.
Bazooka. That's all you need. Make
Exactly.
It happen, ZZ.
Doesn't mean anything if you can't get it activated.
That's true. Colts took on Future. So much for Future being back. 48-28. He beat him pretty handily. But Future's still winning, I guess, the games he should. If you want to say.
Have you seen Future stats right now?
I haven't seen his stats other than
His
Ruggs.
offensive stats are insane.
Yeah.
His passing game is nuts currently. I was looking at it this weekend. He's got like 2 guys that are kind of doing a lot of work right now.
To be fair, he probably did most of that in week, I think 3 or 4, because he played dump. So
That makes sense.
it's all coming together now.
I'm willing to bet if you look at the
here.
top offenses in the SML right now, they all have one team in common that they've played against. And it's the 49ers somehow.
Currently right now, receiving, you got Ruggs leading the way, then Chris Godwin with the Bucks, then Darren Waller, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. 2 of those are from 2 teams, so it kind of says the entire thing.
Ruggs is also a demigod. Holy smokes, that guy's ridiculous.
I mean, he's just a younger Tyreek Hill, basically.
Yes. Yep.
And then, so the Dolphins, Paulie took on the Bills, and as much as he hypes up Noel as being the favorite in the division, he beat him 35-14. Wasn't close. Paulie's 3-0, Noel's 0-3. Rowan, Rowan somehow figured out how to play defense in week 2. He wins over the Texans 28-6. I don't know if the game disconnected, if Rowan just ran the clock, clock the whole game or something. I don't know how he held anybody to 6 points, but somehow he held the Texans to 6. And then RD sneaks by Tiny 38-36. Got to think DK Metcalf could have provided you at least 2 points there. But hey, you got some
Tiny,
late picks, so maybe that'll help out.
Speaking of stats, Russell Wilson, 12 interceptions through the first couple games.
Yeesh.
Yeah, it's off to a good start, I guess.
Yeah.
I just wish I could play the Seahawks. Maybe next year.
Yeah, I had him season 1, I think, and then I don't think I get him again.
Yeah, I just had him last season, I think. And, that was fun.
Tell you what, Foz, if you want to go ahead and finish 4th place, you'll get him next year.
Yeah, that's going to be the problem. You got to finish 4th place to play Tiny.
I know, that's kind of the killer there.
Week 3, Browns come out 44-10 over the Bengals. He's starting to put it together with his rookie quarterback. When we get to week 4, he also had another big game. But it looks like Woods might be putting it together. Yeah, and
Bengals love is looking more rough each week.
Every week, and it's probably not gonna get better.
Don't lose faith.
I still got you, Two-Step. You're still my guy.
Next game was Jaguars Chiefs 30-17. Bears Jets 31-27. We had the Dolphins over the Patriots, so that was actually a close game, 31-28. Matt just wasn't able to pull
crazy.
it out.
I don't know if you guys saw that one, but there was 3 or 4 game-changing plays in the span of 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, that's really uncharacteristically or uncharacteristic for Paulie to have game-changing plays like that. You would think it's just his.
Yeah, there was a time where he was you were just thinking he was just going to kill the clock, run it down, Paulie offense, and then he just went out and, went to pass the ball, and you were like, oh, I didn't see this coming. Then he immediately threw a pick six. You're like, well, uh-oh.
Yeah, maybe he just decided to change it up, and that was a bad idea at that time. But he still came away with 31-28
Yeah, it
win.
still worked out for him. So, hey, however he wants to do it.
Then it looks like Meats took on the Seahawks, and once again the Seahawks lose 35-0.
Well,
DK Metcalf wasn't saving you that game.
Yeah.
And then we have our weekly dump defense, 46-45 against the Chargers. So once again, he ends up on the right side of the score, but just awful defense.
It's been that way
defense is great.
For dump. It's been that way for many cycles. It's I love the guy to death, but he's kind of easy to pick apart if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, who is I think above average offensively, but nothing great. So if you can kind of understand where he's at, you can really take advantage of Dump's defense, and especially with him getting older and everything on the defensive side with San Francisco.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it seems like teams are definitely figuring out that San Francisco defense. And then we have Dan. Dan played RD, and this one I thought would be a lot closer, but Dan beat him 35-17. Not looking good for the NFC right now. At least not against Dan.
Dan is rolling.
Yeah. Buccaneers played the Panthers. This one I thought Royce might have a chance. 44-34. It was fairly close, but he was never really going to win it. And then Prime again, 27-21 over the Texans. He's played a lot of close games. I just 3-0. I want to see how he does against the Redskins, but I'm not ready to crown him as being back like a lot of people have so far. I think he was number 2 on the Truth's rankings, and he still looks beatable.
Historically, October plays Prime pretty tough. He's just one of those guys that Prime doesn't usually blow out, kind of like Future. Future gets a couple wins on it when they play. It's just he's one of those guys for Prime.
Yeah, I could see that.
Still on pace, 16-0.
That's right.
Check it out.
He's still on pace.
Still on pace. I'm probably gonna lose the Bengals one, but that one's still in play here.
Prime's got a hell of a schedule coming up. What was that, Mike?
I said 500 is my thing. Get your own.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm sure I'll miss on whatever the third one was. I don't remember what it was, but I'll probably miss on that and go under.
I know one was Woods regretting the Baker Mayfield trade.
Oh, never mind. I'm above 500.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Cowboys took on the Titans, and This is where Coop fell back to earth. 31-7. Grams just beat him pretty badly. Falcons. This one I didn't see coming in my my prediction of the Saints losing 10. So I was happy to see the Falcons win 45-24 over the Saints. We had Mike took on the Lions.
When he wants to be.
What's that?
Lawyer's good when he wants to be.
He should want to be a little more often because that's his only win on the season. Packers 42-14 over the Lions. That was Hova's first game back, I think, and you just probably made him wish that his account didn't connect again.
It's crushed his soul.
Yeah.
Welcome back, brother. Happy to get you rolling in this season.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was the score at the end of the third quarter. I don't think there's any scoring even in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, honestly, I ran out the last 5 minutes of the clock on one drive. It was pretty much the best game I've played in the past 3 years.
Well, good news. You get to play him again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Then we had Future took on Noel 40-34. Just avoided becoming Noel's first win. NYT, he gets the weekly win. He gets to play the Steelers. So that's 33-17. Washington just snuck by Rowan 28-25, but that moved him to 2-1. And then the Vikings, you finished up with Chris 41-14, and that was the end of week 3. Now there are a couple week 4 games that were played so far, so we'll just real quick go over those. But Dookie last night played Grams, and it was 37-31 in overtime. So maybe Grams is figuring it out. Maybe Dookie's falling apart. I can't really figure out what to make of that at this point.
Graham's going to be decent. He's turning around. Obviously, I played him once, and I watched the majority of that Dookie game. It ended on everybody's favorite deep post route that got over the top.
Yeah.
I think Graham's play call was a little suspect there, but, I mean, after 4.5 quarters, it's
cannot figure out why, if it's the play action play, I can't figure out why it gets open. I watched my game against him back to try and figure out what that was. And the guy literally runs up to your corner and then just runs past him.
It's almost definitely Madden programming. If it's like, if somebody's calling like C3 match or something like that, it's probably something in the programming that's taking the defender out of the play. But
yeah, I can't figure out why that play works the way it does, but it does. So
it's one of those things where people, I think, just need to not expect it and get out of the zone, maybe play a little bit of man against it, because at least then you have the 2 safeties deep.
Yeah, or use your safety and just stay back.
Yeah, figure out the formation. Just know that's when be ready for it.
Yeah.
All right, then we had the Browns taking on the Jets, and your prediction of him regretting Baker Mayfield may not be coming true either. He puts up 59 on the Jets and wins 59-14.
Maybe put me below 500. We'll see.
So Paulie's 9th best team in the SML just fell 59-14 against the Browns. Then we have.
I haven't watched The Truth yet. Is that?
Yeah, he put Noel 9th best, right above himself.
Wait.
Oh no, he put the Jets.
Sorry,
Latin Yank. Yeah.
Oh well, at least he's very kind to his own division. That's nice.
Yeah. So that was 59-14. I think he said that was the last time he's putting him there because it happened like right after the Truth dropped.
I don't know about being nice to your own division either. I mean, in my opinion, the Vikings are definitely behind the Packers. I'm not going to rank you up higher at all.
Let's see. This morning at 6:45 a.m., I took on the Chargers, beat them 31-6. And then this afternoon, the Raiders played the 49ers. And as you can guess, almost 100 points were scored.
Stats.
49-45. So if Dump's nothing else, he's consistent. But that's going to wrap it up for weeks 1 through partially 4. And that's going to take us to our prediction standings from last week. Faz, your bold predictions are, they're just that. They're bold. And you may not be doing so well on those, but your predictions for weeks 1 through 3, you were 5-2. So that's not bad. I was 3-4. And then Dan, our guest picker, was 4-3. So we're going to try and close the gap. Baby. This week, and we've got a bunch of games this time. I put a couple more up there so I can make up a little more ground. And the only one that we're not going to pick that's up there, though, is the Rams and the Giants because they already played, and Rowan fell to the Rams. So
can I pick the Rams?
Now we'll go through these games, and the first one up is going to be the Bills and the Steelers. Who do you like in this one, Faz?
Interesting because the Bills get a lot of hype. We're looking at 0-3. Still, I think that you can't pick against him with KJ and the Steelers on the other side. I think we got to go Noel here, despite similar records. I think you got to go Bills.
All right, so you're going with the Bills.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with the Bills too. It seems like every season when we start, it's Noel's underrated. Noel's gonna be a top contender for the AFC East, and he just keeps falling short. I don't think he falls short against KJ. KJ's probably going to be in the running for the number 1 pick again. Especially he's got to figure out his whole team. I don't think he likes his running back. He doesn't have a quarterback. And he's got Daniel Jones, but I mean, there's a reason Rowan got rid of him. So I'm going to go with Noel as well. How about you, Mike?
It's a clean sweep. I played Noel a lot last cycle. He's not as bad as his record is, but he's definitely not as good as he thinks he is. So, with somebody like KJ, I don't think he's going to be able to even play down enough to lose. So, absolutely Bills, by the way.
All right. So the next game we have is going to be Washington and the Colts. This one should be on actually not long after we finish up here. I think 6:15 Prime and Washington are going to kick off. I'm going to take Prime in this one. Washington has just been too inconsistent for me. I can't really figure them out. I know what Prime is, so I'm going to go with Prime and the Colts over Washington. Mike, what do you think?
Prime, easily. It's not Washington's time yet. I think it'll be a decent game, but Prime's going to find a way to win.
All right, Faz?
Yeah, we're gonna clean sweep second time here. Again, like you said, I think it's too early to jump all in on Washington like that. And also, I picked Prime to go 16-0, so I'm locked in here until he loses.
All right. Well, then, speaking of that, we'll start with you for this pick. Denver at the Colts in Week 5. Dan coming off his Simbardi. This will be the first time meeting this cycle, and they should, if everything goes as we're predicting it, they should meet undefeated. So, what do you have in this one, Faz?
This is going to be the big test for the bold prediction here. I think this is going to be a really good game. Obviously, there's been a lot of hype building up to their first matchup. Dan is rolling, currently probably the better team, probably the better owner as well at the moment. But still, I picked Prime 16-0. So guess what? Lock it in, Prime baby.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
If this was week 12, I'd go Prime, but it's week 5. It's going to be Dan. Prime's still trying to figure out his offense. Dan's still trying to win. He doesn't usually go into coast mode until it's later on in the year. Dan's going to be ready for this game. He's going to win pretty easily, I think.
Yes, I think both of these guys want to win this game. So I don't think either one's going to be coasting in this game, because I think they legitimately think that they're 1-2 in the AFC and possibly the SML. So this is a big game for either one of them to prove it. I think Dan ends up getting the win. Like you said, Prime's still kind of feeling out his offense, and I think really it's his defense that concerns me more than anything. So I think Dan's going to pull away with this one. Now, if they play again later in the playoffs, then it may be a different outcome. But right now, I think Dan's got the advantage.
And we're going to be there for the call, right, Bonner?
Yeah. So Denver, Indiana, or Indianapolis, depending on what time they're going to play. Hopefully they give us an idea of something. I'm teleworking all week, so I have nothing but time. We just need to lock something in. And then we have the Chargers and the Titans in the next one, and I'm going to take the Titans. Coop has been up and down this season, but I just played the Chargers, and you can run on them. And I think that plays right into Coop's hands, and he's going to run all over them. Faz, what do you think?
I thought I was going to differ from you on this one. I expected you to go to Chargers, but yeah, I'm going to go Titans as well. Run games there. Coop has been playing his opponents very tight this season, so I think he can come away with the victory in this one. And also now, if I just continue picking everything that you pick, you can't catch me. So,
all right. So I'm going to start letting you go first. And Mike, who do you have in this game?
I'll shake it up for y'all. I'll go with the Chargers. Coop has a way of losing games he should win, so we'll flip a coin and go with the Chargers on this one.
All right. Next up is going to be Miami and New England. This will be their second matchup. First one was like a 3-point game. This time they're going to travel to New England. Don't know if home field advantage really matters in Madden. Maybe it does. I haven't checked to see if I get more calls at home. But who do you have in this one, Faz?
This is going to be a fun one. Obviously, again, they did just play, and I thought Pauly was a little reckless in that game. I think he goes back to more of his style, slows it down a little bit, and with his defense and obviously the insight that Mike gave us earlier in the show on stopping Matt on early downs, I think Pauly can do that, and I think he comes away with a more lopsided win this time.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, got to go Pauly all the way. Pauly's one of the guys that plays too safe, and as Faz just said, he got a little reckless. He'll fix that. He's not the type to make mistakes over and over again, so he will fix that issue, and he'll probably win pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Miami as well. So no chance to make up a game there, but I think Pauly's playing too well, and he's gonna correct his mistakes from that first matchup that he didn't even lose. I mean, his mistakes only let Matt get close. Yep. So
right. I
think he cleans that up and he takes that one fairly easy. Next game though, big NFC West matchup. We got the Rams and the Cardinals. Faz, we're gonna start with you again, so you can't copy me.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a tough matchup to call. Both teams, very capable of winning this one. Good owners on both sides. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think he's gonna run the ball a good deal on meats, and I think with RD, his pass defense is what can hurt him, and that's not quite as much what you need to worry about playing against meats, unlike a Dookie. So I'm gonna go with the Rams here.
All right. Well, I'm gonna run up to the podium with my pick, and I'm gonna take meats, just because I think his offense will be able to at the least keep him up with the Rams. And then his defense is very good at forcing turnovers. And I think he gets one or two of those turnovers to give him the advantage over the Rams. Mike, tiebreaker, what do you think?
I've got the Rams. I talked with Artie a little bit earlier about defense and gave him some suggestions that, as an outsider, I can kind of add my point of view there. I think that it's going to go a little bit better, get him going in the right direction. And Meats is, coincidentally, we didn't talk about opponents, but Meats is the exact sort of guy that my suggestions would help against. So I'll take the Rams.
Okay. Week 6.
Don't sleep on those new defensive coordinator hires.
That's right. Yeah. So week 6, we got 3 games from week 6. This first one, 2-part pick on this one. It's San Francisco against Tampa Bay. Neither team even knows what defense is. So first, who do you have winning? And will there be more than 100 points scored in this game? And, why break tradition? We'll start with you, Fast.
So I am going to go with Dookie on this one.
Okay.
The way to beat Dookie is to be able to play at least a little bit of defense. And so far, Dump has not done that at all. As far as the point spread, I will be hammering the over.
All right, Mike.
I'm going to have some faith in my good friend Dump, and I'm going to take the 49ers. Dump's got a ability to play up in big games, kind of like how I alluded to earlier, Coop playing down in down games.
Mm-hmm.
I think he finds a way to get it done. I don't know if it's going to be low scoring. I don't know if it's going to be over 100, but if I had to take over or under, I'd take the under, just because it's hard to put up 50 points, man.
All right, this is going to pain me, but I'm going to pick Dookie. Now, Dookie said that Raheem Mostert is one of his Achilles heel, whatever. It looks like anybody holding the ball is his Achilles heel. But
yeah, I don't think there's specific players that are in Achilles heel. I think it's just the football
He gives up 50 points and says it's just 1 or 2 bad plays. That's 50 points. That's not 1 or 2 plays. I don't know of a 25-point score. So he may downplay the deficiencies on his defense, but his offense you can't argue with. He does score points. Dump gives up points. And I think Dookie's going to end up just beating him really bad, and then Dump's going to start forcing things. And he does have a tendency to throw quite a few picks when he gets down. I think I intercepted him 5 times last time we played, and it was a lot of it. He's trying to come back. He forces the ball, and I think that's what's going to happen against Dookie and Devin White. So I'm going to go with Dookie there.
Yep.
Boo.
Yeah.
The next game is going to be Meats against Dan. This has the potential to be a Super Bowl matchup. I mean, Meats has been there before. Dan obviously was just there last season, so it's a pretty big game. But I'm going to go with Dan in this one, especially you know what's coming with Meats, and if Dan has time to prepare for you and knows what you're going to do, I think he's really good at taking it away. So I'm gonna go with Dan in this one. Mike, what do you think?
I'm sorry, is that me?
Yeah.
I thought I heard Mike. So yeah,
Okay.
just take it away, Mike. I'll
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I'm sure I can speak for both of us because this is going to be Dan across the board. But yeah, I'm going to take Dan.
All right. And Faz, do you want to say Dan, or do you want me to just type it in?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Dan. I think Meat's a little too one-dimensional. Dan can take those things away, and then it's a wrap.
All right. So then our last game to pick is going to be Baltimore at Cleveland. Both teams kind of struggling to start the season. Who do you have in this one, Mike?
I'm going to take NYT. He's kind of gotten off to a rough start, but I think he's more settled in what he's doing because Woods still has his quarterback issues right now. The interesting thing is I don't know how long NYT's vacation is. I think I saw him getting back to New York today, so he might be back home.
Yeah, he's back tonight. He's playing his game. I think the Bengals is who he's playing, and he's playing that tonight at 7.
That's good. I was super concerned they were both going to potentially be on like hotel Wi-Fi and it'd just be kind of a cluster of a game. But at least NYT's back. Just further solidifies my pick of NYT in that one.
All right, and Faz, what do you think?
I mean, AFC North matchups sure seem like a coin flip. I think this can go either way. I am also going to go with NYT. I just think he is slightly more of a track record. So yeah, I'm gonna go NYT here.
All right, I wanted to make up a game, but I can't make it up here. I think it's going to be NYT as well, and I think it comes down to the quarterbacks. You got NYT as Lamar Jackson on one side, and Woods has some rookie on another side.
Come on, man, this is a safe gamble. You got to take Woods here. Let me talk you into it. This is a decent gamble.
Okay, I'm going to stay with Baltimore.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel really bad when Woods wins this game.
I know, right?
Probably, but I just don't think that rookie quarterback is going to do it. And then he's going to trade his rookie quarterback for like a 6th-round pick and take another rookie quarterback.
Ravens got a good defense too, so that's something to think about.
He does, but so does Baltimore. So I'm gonna stick with Baltimore. That's not gonna be where I make up a game. But those are our predictions. So the last thing for the show now is gonna be our first top 7 of each conference for the season, and I'll go ahead and let you start with your number 7 team, Faz.
Number 7 team, just talked about them. NYT and the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, tough early season schedule. I believe it was Paulie and Dan in like 2 of the first 3 weeks. But he got the big win against Pittsburgh, which honestly last season seemed difficult for him. So I got NYT at 7 and can potentially move up.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that pick. I don't really have anything to add to that. I think he's definitely in the top 7, and probably 7 is right about the right spot. You got anything, Mike?
No, not really. I mean, NYT is a owner that's playing down currently, but he's been there for the past 2 seasons, so you can expect a rebound.
All right, so now we'll flip over to the other side, and I'll give my number 17 for the NFC, which is going to be Grams and the Cowboys. And I had a little trouble trying to figure out who I wanted to put in that 7 spot, but with Grams having a couple big wins, it was actually between you, Mike, and Grams, and just because he had that win over you in week 3, I ended up going with Grams at number 7.
Oh, so that just means I'm higher, right?
I guess we'll find out.
We'll let you believe that one.
Don't hold my breath.
Yeah. I mean, you got 6 more positions where you can keep thinking it's you.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. So who do you have, Faz, in the AFC at number 6?
At number 6, maybe it's a little bit of a surprise, but I have Coop and the Titans. I like his season start. Only lost by a point to Prime. He got the win over that hyped up Washington football team. Had he beat Grams, he would have been, very legitimately in a potentially a top 5 spot. But I think that loss cost him a little bit, so I have him rolling at 6.
Yeah, I can't really figure out Coop. Like I said, once a
Yeah.
season, he's gonna beat me, and he's gonna beat me pretty good. Derrick Henry will run for 7,000 yards, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of Coop. Either I'm like just can't play him good twice a year, or he can't sustain being good over a full season. So I think 6 might be a little high for him, but he's played well enough to earn it this season.
Yeah, I do wish that I could have seen him in a division that didn't have you in Prime, because that really puts him behind the 8 ball to start it out. It would have been cool to see him with like, an AFC North team and see what he could do there.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if his outcome would be different. I mean, he finished
Right.
8-8 last season with 4 games between me and Prime, whereas you got Grams and Rowan. Well, Grams finished 8-8. Rowan, I guess, was 1 game under, or maybe he was 8-8. Either way, but they played in a division where you had 4 gimme wins and only could win 4 other games. So I don't know if it would make a difference though, because if Coop does end up in that division, he's now not playing a 3rd place schedule either. So
True.
I don't know. I would like to see how he does the rest of the cycle. I think he's gonna possibly sneak into the playoffs one of these seasons. I mean, October snuck in on the first season at like 7-9 or something. So it's definitely possible to get in there. I think it's gonna have to be as a wild card though.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to NFC pick number 6, and I have Washington there. And it kind of could have went either way between him and Grams, but he did beat Grams pretty good week 1, so I gave him the edge there at 6. And kind of surprising, though, we do have 2 NFC East teams in the top 7. So maybe they're not as weak as I thought they were when I went back and looked at it. All right, your number 5 team for the AFC?
Number 5, I have Future and the Raiders. Never really know what to make of this team. He got slaughtered by Prime, but then he crushed Cleveland. He's scoring 1,000 points. I don't really know what to make of them, but I have him at 5 for now, and we'll see as the next weeks unfold where he ends up.
Yeah, it's like you say, don't really know what to make of him. But he was 11-5 last year. He's 3-1 to start this year, so he's at the very least deserves to be in the top 7.
Yeah. Well, the problem you guys are having with AOC is it's like the top 5, 3 question marks, 1,000-foot cliff, and everybody else.
Yeah,
that plays a part. Yes.
Yeah, the bottoms, and I would say probably for both of these lists, the bottom, I don't know, 3 or 4 guys could probably be flip-flopped in any direction, and and probably will be throughout the season based on how it goes. All right, so number 5 in the NFC, I have Dump and the 49ers. Just because of that defense, I can't put him in one of the top spots because I feel like he's going to give up like 50-something points every week. If he can figure out that defense, though, and continue to put up his 40-something points, then I think he moves up this list.
Yeah. Yep. Number 4 in the AFC, I have Paulie and the Dolphins. Guy just wins every close game he finds himself in. I'm just not sure I can see him ever breaking into the top 3. It seems like there's like a little bit of a gap, and that I'm not sure he can hurdle it, but we'll see.
Well, he's got to hurdle that Jets gap first. He's got to get himself above the Jets,
That's right.
and then he can start focusing on top 3.
True.
Yeah, so I played Paulie twice in the regular season, and I'm 0-2 against him, and neither game was really that close. But then we meet in the playoffs, and I was able to beat him. But I haven't seen him in the AFC Championship at all, and I've been there twice. So I don't know where he went. Once I beat him before it, and the other one, I can't remember. I think it was Dan beat him. So
it's Miami, man. He gets distracted by the ladies out there.
Yeah, that might be it. He's probably too busy trying to.
That's a real excuse for. It's Paulie.
Yeah. So I think he could break through to the top 3. He plays so conservative. He has to play pretty perfect in order to win, And when you're playing like a defense like Dan's, you're not going to play perfect. He's going to find a way to cause you to mess something up. So, and then like you saw with Paulie against the Patriots, if he gets too reckless, things can go bad pretty quick and end up in a close game with a 1-2 team.
Yep.
So I think he has to stay conservative. He's just got to, and he doesn't have the best roster either, so that makes it a little difficult. But I think 4 is a good spot for him. All right, so 4 in the NFC, I've got Cardinals and Meats. It does seem like going through these predictions, we kind of picked on Meats a lot. Like we had the Rams beating him, we had Dookie beating him, or Dookie already beat him, but Denver, Dan was the other one that beat him. He's got a tough schedule, and that NFC West is catching up to him pretty quick. But I still have him at number 4. He won the NFC West last cycle, so I've got him still in the top 4.
Yeah, sorry, blanked for a second there. Number 3, I have Prime in the Colts. I know I picked 16-0, the whole thing, but to this point, I can't move him above 3 yet. Of his 2 wins, they were very close. He did crush LA, but he's playing close games, so I feel like the win margin is not quite as impressive as the top 2 teams, which obviously everybody knows who they are at this point. But
yeah, I was expecting to see more out of his offense with Metcalf. I'm hoping not to see more of it in the near future, but I'm kind of surprised how little he's used Metcalf. I mean, he had a big game, I think, against the Raiders, but first week was like 2 catches, 19 yards. I expect that to change over the next couple weeks, though.
Yeah, I think once that starts happening, maybe I can start to move him up. But until then, right now, close games, low win margin, not quite seeing the offense hum just yet. Got to keep him at 3.
All right, so moving over to the NFC, number 3, I have the Rams and RD. I know I had Meats beating RD in their matchup week 5, I think. But I still think RD is going to end up being the better team, so I have him higher ranked right now in the power rankings.
It's a fair point. Number 2, I've got yourself and the Jaguars. Really just comes down to, I think your wins have been slightly more impressive. You're putting more distance between yourself and your opponents than Prime was against his. So I have got you taking the nod at 2 for right now.
Yeah, I've definitely got a tougher part of my schedule coming up, so I'll be interested to see how I can sustain what I've been doing so far.
Bomber, I think no matter who your next pick is, I think we know who it should be based on the fact that you ended up second in the rankings. Yeah. So be a wise man.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing, though. You have to compete with that versus just his general thoughts on the other person as well.
Yeah. So number 2 in the NFC, I've got Dookie. I still
thoughts went out.
Still want to see him. Still want to see him beat somebody good. He beat Meats, but it seems like every time he's got a win against one of these guys on this list, it always comes down to like a fumble at the end of the game against Meats, or Jalen Ramsey playing I don't know what in the secondary, running right past an interception. And then Dookie will claim that he controlled the game the whole time, and that 17-point lead he blew was off of one fumble. But I still have him number 2. He did make the NFC Championship game last season, and regardless of how he's winning the games, he does end up winning them. So for now, I've got him at number 2.
I will always come to the defense of fumbles, because unless it is a sack fumble, generally you have to land a user hit stick for it. And there is an element of skill in that. So, that for sure is, I mean, the play with Meats, Meats throws it into the flats, and Dookie did get a little lucky. The guy got held up, but like he brought his guy from like across the field and just murdered the dude. So, stuff like that. The fumbles for sure, as long as it's not like, strip sacks, because there's really nothing you can do about those. But the hit stick fumbles, I will give it to him. Those are a bit of an element of skill. The rest of the defense, though, is still a problem. As much as he wants to say it's fixed, it is not fixed. I can pretty much assure you of that.
I'd just like to add in one thing on that topic there, if I can. Use Madden to your advantage, fellas. Turn on conservative carry. Help yourself a little bit.
That is the big
Mhm.
thing that people don't seem to take into consideration. You're playing somebody like Dookie that likes to throw the hit sticks. Switch it on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to beat him on a juke, but you're probably not going to have to. If you just run, he runs, 50-50 chance he's just going to run past you with the hit stick anyway.
Yep.
So you might not even need the juke. So yes, that is the big thing in this conversation that does not seem to get brought up.
I think
Throw
too many
that
people
on and you're
forget
set.
about those little things.
Yeah. Yep. That's a big adjustment that can save you a game against Dookie. 100%.
All right, so who's your number one in the AFC? I think it's pretty obvious, but
number one is going to be the Pastor, the Super Bowl champ. He has not given us any reason to take him out of the one spot yet. He clobbered NYT. He's got a win against LA. It hasn't even been like a favorable schedule to start, and he's still rolling. So, Dan, you keep the number one spot, you keep the throne. Hopefully, I'll see you in a simulation February.
yeah, I think until he loses, that's his spot. So, can't argue with that. Over in the NFC, obviously, same situation. Aside from a little hiccup against the Lions there in your simulation game, which maybe shows the weakness of your roster. I don't know.
Madden does not like rookie quarterbacks, that's for sure.
Yeah, so until you lose, same thing as with Dan. I mean, you just went to the Super Bowl, so I've got you number one. And the rankings pretty much look how I expected them to look.
Are you guys open to a little bit of off-the-cuff questioning from me?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'd like to know for both of you who on this top 7 you air quote fear the most and who you fear the least
Okay.
for each of your conferences.
Each of the conferences.
For Foz for the NFC and Bomber for the AFC. Only your respective conference.
Okay.
Who's your biggest competition? Who do you not worry about at all?
Okay. Bomber, you want to start or you want me to start?
I can start. I think it's a tough choice because I've played all but one. I haven't played Future yet, so I can't really speak to that. Paulie's beaten me twice in the regular season, so I'm 1-2 against him, 1-1 against Dan, 2-2 against Coop, and then 1-1 against the Ravens. So the only team I've got a winning record against would be Prime, and it's pretty significant winning record at 5-1. So I'm gonna go with Prime. Scares me the least.
Yes.
Now his off-season addition of Metcalf makes me think I may have to readjust how I play against him, but at the same time, there's only one ball, so I'm not too worried about him adding another receiver. I've just added another corner too. So I feel like I still match up pretty well against him. So if I had to pick a team that I'm least scared of, it would be the Colts. And that may come back to bite me in the future, but right now he's got to play 2 more full seasons just to tie me in our season record or cycle record. So definitely Prime. And the one I'd fear the most is probably Dan. I mean, he's obviously the number one guy on the list.
Yeah.
But it could be Paulie as well, because like we talked about with Paulie, he plays very conservative, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And since I've gotten Josh Allen, I make a lot of mistakes. So if there's one team where you can't really make up for those mistakes, it would probably be against Paulie and the Dolphins.
Don't worry, brother. Most of that Josh Allen stuff isn't your fault, to be honest. So it's okay.
But it's still my quarterback, so it's still a problem.
I think
more pride.
Most of the Josh Allen mistakes are not your fault, but I think it is your fault that you're in that position in the first place. So
certainly.
That's a shame, but it's a good question. I think if we're starting with team you're worried about the least, I would probably have to go. It would be between Dump or RD. I guess I'll go with RD, just because of the defensive factors on both sides. I think that they're both a little weaker against pass defense, and in a Madden where the run game is so heavy, I still just love passing and kind of refuse to let myself run as much as I probably should with super freak Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, it cost you some Barty probably.
Jefferson has nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah, Jefferson helps. He's a lot of fun to use. And I just love being able to like build up a rookie quarterback. I just think the whole thing's more fun than running in general. So I think those teams have the weaker pass defenses. And I think, RD probably has the potential to go further. So I'll use him as the example. I just think his pass defense lags behind some of the other ones. And that, plays well for me. Team that I fear, it would have to be Meats. He plays me super tight. He plays very Madden 21. He uses the reach forward animation better than pretty much everybody. Even if you're playing hard flats the whole game, he will continually throw to them and he will still turn it into 4 and 5 yards just because the guys will fall forward regardless. Obviously the defense is very scary. He doesn't have a user quite like Dookie's, but the rest of the secondary is so much better that they help cover more of the ground. So yeah, probably Meats in Arizona. It's just, tough matchup for me, especially again for somebody who likes to throw the ball. That's not the team you want to be throwing on. And sure enough, here I am throwing the ball 40 times a game.
I'm going to make some assumptions toward you, Foz, and say that it's only Meats because I didn't qualify, and also that Two Step is number 8 on the AFC list, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I'm going to make those assumptions.
Yeah, no, you 100% nailed it.
All right, so I think that's going to do it for this week's episode at just a shade over an hour.
Wow, we even cut out burning thoughts. We still broke an hour.
Yep. So we did go into the game recaps slightly into week 4, so maybe that was the difference there. But
that's all right. We don't apologize for it.
That's right. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. Until next week, thanks to Mike for being on. It was a pleasure having you on and getting your insight into some of the teams in the SML.
Happy to waste an hour with you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Never a waste.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode.
Later, guys.
Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check. Can I get a heat check, 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 heat check.